Wes Anderson made a 50s sci-fi movie, Asteroid City, a movie he directed and also wrote alongside of Roman Coppola, who also wrote for the Darjeeling Limited, Moonrise Kingdom, and Isle of Dogs. It's about a small desert town that has a brief encounter with extraterrestrial life. It's told through the framing device of a play, and we get to see some of the behind-the-scenes drama. These parts are told in black and white with a smaller aspect ratio and narrated by Bryan Cranston in a role that kinda reminds me of Rob Serling, making me surprised he wasn't narrating the sci-fi story. But said sci-fi play story is told through especially vivid color that fits in perfectly with Anderson's style. It's a great showcase for that style, even if the movie itself is a little underwhelming. Where the movie kind of fails is in its story. It's a vast one that's pretty much about the whole town, so there's a lot of characters, and a lot of opportunities to put in more A-list actors, which actually had potential to be interesting, a story that defies conventional plot and just focuses on vignettes of the characters. But what's wrong is that it just moves so slowly. A lot of it is entertaining, a lot of the characters are fun to watch, some of it's funny, but after a while it all just seems kind of pointless. We focus on so many characters and we never really get to truly know any of them. The closest we get is the romance between Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson, but it's not really enough. This, combined with the fact that it's a very talky movie, does not mesh well with the slow pace. And the end is kind of a head-scratcher. I'm not really sure what the point of it all was, which honestly may have been their intention, but either way it was not a satisfying story. But it's Anderson's visual style and the quirky characters that make it still not boring. The appearance of the alien is a particular standout. He's created through stop-motion animation, and he's animated in a way that gives him personality in a weird Wes Anderson type way. It's just that it should have been much better and more interesting. It's a pretty big step down from his last movie, The French Dispatch, which defied the traditional narrative in a much more interesting way. But fans of his will still find a lot to like here. Okay, after my last animation got me my first copyright strike, I'm kinda nervous right now, so I'm just gonna leave this part blank this week. And now to transition from my review where I put the trailer in black and white to avoid focus features copyright bots, which have been giving me a hard time lately, to my review where I don't even play the trailer to avoid max copyright bots, which have given me a hard time. So I have to play the trailer for the original Gremlins, and put that in black and white to avoid the WB copyright bots, which have given me a hard time. Gremlins: The Secrets of the Mogwai is a new animated series on Max that just aired its season finale last week, based on the classic horror comedy that was so graphic for a PG movie that inspired a new rating. Now it's a CGI show aimed at kids! It's a prequel that follows the old storekeeper as a kid in Shanghai when he first discovers the Mogwai, and now he has to go on an adventure with Gizmo. Oh yeah, Gizmo is still named Gizmo here because the kid coincidentally came up with the same name as the family in the movie. First thing out of the way, the elephant in the room. Yes, it's kind of a kid's show. Yeah, it sucks. I would prefer it if they kept a little more of the rougher edges of the movies, but they aren't completely missing here, especially near the end. There are a few near the beginning that still feel very toned down, but near the end you get things mostly involving the death of gremlins that feel as PG-13 as anything in the movies. In fact, it's better altogether when the gremlins become more of a presence in the second half. They have that evil yet mischievously charming and cartoonish attitude that made the movies big. When they're on screen, it feels like the perfect direction that the Gremlins franchise should go in if it continues and doesn't become the only 80s franchise that doesn't get milked into oblivion. As for when it's not, it's okay. It deals with Gizmo, the kid, and a street rat who tags along as they go up against a bunch of fantasy creatures that they encounter while trying to stop the real villain, an evil wizard who kidnapped his parents and wants to take over the world. He's a pretty good villain. He's intimidating and sometimes scary in a kid's cartoon kind of way. He gets overshadowed by the gremlins, but that might be the intention, especially near the end. The fantasy world seems a little at odds with the simplicity of the movies, but on its own it's a nice place to set a show. It sets the stage for some fun, episodic adventures. It doesn't always feel like Gremlins, but when it does, it works. And even when it doesn't, it still works as its own thing. It will probably get more younger kids into these movies, which is a good thing at least. Considering how this could have gone, it's actually a pretty solid effort.